Action. All righty. We're gonna have to start over. I'm so sorry. We gotta start over. But YouTube, welcome back. Welcome back to episode 6. We actually started this already, but I fucked up, usual. So we starting back over again. But welcome to episode 6. We're going over natural and home births. I have my good friend Sunflower with me today. Sunflower, you want to shout yourself out one more time?
Peace, peace. I am Mystical Sunflower. You can call me Sunflower. I am a natural, and I am a naturalist and homemaker.
Okay.
And you can find me on any social media at Beyond Infinite Mystic. Just giving out my organic, experience with my beautiful children. What's going on?
Alrighty, I love it. I love it. And as always, I will drop those links for y'all in the comments. We do got the babies with us, y'all. As y'all can see, like we can't do a home birth video and not come with the proof of home birth.
Okay, the children are always present.
like we need the evidence. Let me show y'all my evidence. Here's the evidence. Say
Look at
Harmony.
you.
Say Harmony.
Look, say hi to you.
Yeah, so that's my little evidence. So one more time, how many natural in hospital births have you had? Right? How many home in hospital births?
I've had 2 home births and 1 hospital birth, all medicine free.
Period. Period. Like, period. I love that. I love to hear that. Um, as I was saying earlier before it got cut off, I've only had 2 babies, 2 of them. And the first one was in the hospital with hella epidural, right? And then the second one was at home with no medicine. So like 2 complete opposite experiences, right? Um, so I do want to get into like a little bit of a
Yeah.
comparison. If you ever had you have had a hospital birth. How did your hospital birth differ from your home birth?
Well, in the hospital, it just, of course, I'm not at home. I'm in a different environment. It's, other people involved, other energies, just different energies. In the hospital, they wouldn't let me keep my crystals near my baby. When he came out, I had
What?
placed crystals around him, and they were like,
Hmm.
"You can't put those near him because they're dangerous." Blah blah. Blah.
How
Just
were they
being able to
dangerous?
have
Like,
the freedom, right? How are they dangerous? Well, I guess because some of them got sharp edges or whatever. But you have common sense. You're not gonna place them directly under, no, put them in
right.
the right place. But so at home I was able to control my own experience. I was able to control
Okay.
my own experience in the way I saw fit. And like I say, create the energy in the space that felt the most comfortable for me and my family.
Right, right. I think that was definitely like my biggest discrepancy with the whole hospital experience was the lack of control, right? The lack of the micromanagement of the birthing experience,
Yeah.
right? I think that I don't know how it is in other countries, but at least in which you might be able to attest to that. I don't know because you're in Mexico, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, was that too much? Because I can edit that out if you don't want that in there.
No,
Because
no, that's perfectly fine. I'm very open with where I am.
okay, I was like, dang, because I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But yeah, so at least in Western medicine, like there's like a very strong desire to take the birthing experience out of the mother's hands, right? And turn it into this, it's almost like you have a disease or a ailment that they need to control and to micromanage and to show you how you're supposed to and how you're allowed to give birth, right? Um,
Yes.
so that definitely was like a big motivator for me to have my first birthing experience, right? My home birth experience. So, what led you, right? Those other two times, what made you say, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna stay home and handle this myself.
Well, to be honest, like I said, I'm a naturalist. I started on my natural journey at about 17 years old, and that's when I started just searching different things that seemed to fit more, of the lifestyle that I wanted to head into. And around that time was when I came across lotus birth or lotus birthing, when you leave your placenta attached to your baby. And after further digging into that, I realized that, you know, they kind of go hand in hand. Lotus birthing and home birthing is hand in hand. So I took an interest into that. I actually wanted to have my son at home, but we just, we was traveling a lot around that time. We was moving around, so we didn't really have a home space. So,
Mm-hmm.
for sure with my first daughter, I said, look, I'm definitely have to have me a home. I'm solidifying this. We're gonna do a home birth. Like this is so it was
Okay,
always,
so it was very
a part of the plan. It just I got serious once I did have that first hospital experience.
yeah, I definitely know what you mean. So did you so I heard you say that lotus birthing and home birthing kind of go hand in hand, which I've heard as well that hospitals can give you a very hard time with wanting to keep your placenta, right? That
Yeah.
always, wow, that trips me out. Like I developed this organ in my uterus for 9 months straight, right? With my stem cells, my iron, my blood, and you're gonna tell me that I have to sign a paper to get permission to keep my shit? That's crazy. That's
That
wild.
doesn't make any sense.
So did you
When
end up
you're going
having
to
a
get
lotus?
it,
I'm
use
sorry.
it for
I'm sorry. What was that? You cut out just a little bit.
but
Okay.
it's like let me
Yeah, I was gonna say we
let
had some
me
connection
move
issues, so
actually,
I ain't hear nothing you said.
and then this will probably be better.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. I was just saying, they want to take your placenta just so that they can, do science experiments.
Hmm. Exactly. And they try to manipulate you into thinking that it's something that you need permission to have access to. Is wild to me. So
Right.
did you end up having a lotus birth?
For my two daughters, yes. For my son, no. They told me that they could only delay cord cutting for maybe 5 minutes. And even still, after I birthed my placenta, they immediately cut it.
Wow.
They immediately cut it.
And that's another thing that kind of irks me with like I'm not trying to make this a hospital shitting video, but
Right.
oh well,
But
it's the reality. Like
these are major factors into why you would want to have a home birthing experience.
yeah, because they completely disregard. I had the same experience with what's call it, birth control, and what are those things called, immunizations, right?
Yeah.
Why am I brain farting? What's the word? Vaccines. So
Vaccine.
you can have a clear cut birthing plan. And like me, I went to the same OBGYN the entire pregnancy, went to the same hospital. Like I made my intentions very clear, had a birthing plan, everything. They still tried to force. Like it wasn't even like a asking thing. It was like they rolled the cart in the room with the syringes in the vaccine.
Yeah, it's like a routine. It's like a routine, and they just stick it to their routine, and they don't even care about the changes that occur within each individual
Exactly.
experience.
Yes, the individual experience is not there. It's like you're on a conveyor belt, and it's like
Yeah,
like
like we're on a conveyor belt. Yes, exactly.
exactly. So with that being said, growing up, if you can recall, what was when you thought of the concept of having a child at home, right? What sort of imagery did you associate with that? What perception of home births did you have?
Well, really, my first thought was, with the midwives and the birthing pool and the whole family all in the living room or whatever area, all piled together, that's the image that came to mind.
Okay, okay, so that's good. That's actually a really good image to have, I think, in a more modern society of a home birth. What so when you actually had your own home birth, how did that perspective change, if at all?
Well, as I got old, as I, grew, I realized that, maybe a water birth wasn't exactly it for me specifically. So I just, I knew that I would have to just make myself as comfortable as possible. So picking out what space in my home that I was going to decide to be the space for me to push was, the thing on my mind as, the time for labor started to approach.
Hmm. And did you end up actually utilizing that spot? Because I know I picked a spot, laid the
You
tarps
know,
down, everything, and it did not go
I
through.
know
Like,
how that is. It's so funny. But you know what? I just picked my bed.
hmm,
It
okay,
made sense to me. Right in my bed, that's the most comfortable space for me. And when I'm done, I can still be in my bed. So
girl, that's what I thought too. Like we put the plastic cover on the bed, everything, and I ended up having her in the middle of the floor. Like it did not go as planned whatsoever. Cause girl, listen, we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, that plan went out the window. But I think that that's a beautiful idea of a home birth. I'm not gonna lie to you, me personally, growing up, I never fathomed a home birth. Like I was just so conditioned to think that birth is this emergency thing where everybody jumps in the car and rushes to
yeah,
the
and then there's a whole
hospital and
panic and
like, it's frantic and yeah, exactly. And then the only reference to home birth I did have was being raised by my great grandmother, right? She had 18 siblings and they were all born at home. But she grew up like on a cotton farm, like in the South. And so I just had this like the color purple imagery in my head of what it's like to have a home birth. So it was not
yeah,
healthy. It was either super emergency or like back in the 1700s slave birth. Like that's how
type
I
vibe.
pictured it.
Yeah.
Um, exactly. So having the experience myself, it was like, oh, okay, like that's nothing like what this is like. It's
At
not.
all.
Don't get me wrong. It is serious. It is. It's a very intense moment, but it's
It's
not.
very intense.
It's not a cause for panic and fear
Yeah, it's
initially.
not a cause for panic. And that's
Right.
that's that's the main thing I love about, being able to have a home birth. Because like I said,
Hmm.
there's no there's no need for panic or like to lose your cool under the pressure. Like you're at home, so you're already comfortable to a certain degree. And then, if you're like me, you only have, just the people who live here is present. And so
Yeah.
everybody that lives here already know what's up. And so there's nobody in the environment who is, like, what should I do? What's good? Everybody knows the game plan. Everybody's on board. Everybody's,
Okay.
present.
I think that's what's up too, because I did have a midwife, right? I'm not at the level yet of like I'm gonna just do it completely by myself. Like
And
I
that's
would
perfectly fine.
but I did have a midwife, so I did have that environment where it was like it's no panic. Is there's nobody here who's
Yeah.
uninformed. Everybody here knows what's going on, and I do think that that was a great experience. When I had my hospital birth, Of course, it was a hospital, but you know how they are. And then I had my cousins, and they were not prepared. You know, like I appreciate them for being there for me. Like I definitely appreciate that, but they weren't. You know, they're not anti-vax. They're not, you know, pro nature or holistic. Like they're just there for moral support. So it definitely brings about like a certain strength that you have to be able to deliver the child and still be like, you know, cognizant enough to say, no, I don't want that. No, no, no. And they will try to
Right.
push back, right?
They
Um,
will sometimes back.
exactly. So not having that team that can kind of, you see what I'm saying? And that's the thing. I don't feel like birth should be like that. I shouldn't be pushing out my child and like wrestling with y'all over what I do or do not want. Like there should be no battle in the process of having a child, right? Um,
Yeah.
so that yeah, that environment is super important. So kind of piggybacking off of that, what what if at all fears did you have going into your first home birth, and how did your
Going.
experience affect those fears?
Okay. What were my fears? Honestly, my only fears were that the the pain might be more intense than what I could remember from my first birth, and I wouldn't be able to handle it. That was my biggest fear. In both my home births, that the pain would be more than what I remember it to be, and I wouldn't be able to just go forward with it. Like I wouldn't be able to just handle pushing through.
That is crazy because that is literally the same exact fear that I had. I'm not gonna lie to you. Especially because with my first birth, I had an epidural. So don't get me wrong, I experienced some contractions. Some contractions was crazy, but I didn't experience the actual pushing of the child out, right?
Right.
Completely numb. So going into my first home birth, it's like I've done this before, but I haven't done this before. Like I don't know what it's gonna feel like. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
too overwhelming. What if I like pass out and I can't push? Like my mind is literally, you know? And I think that's so
Mhm.
crazy that some of our biggest fears around childbirthing is more so the idea of something that isn't even, I don't want to say it's not physical because pain is physical, but
Yeah.
not in the sense of like, oh, I'm afraid I'm gonna tear. I'm afraid I'm going to the baby's gonna be breached. It's a fear of a sensation, right? And
Mhm.
like you said, like you did it before and your mind was still like, what if this sensation is more than what it was last time? Like you just like
So let me
psych.
just ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you think that that fear may stem from, growing up and seeing we said, seeing that, when you see it on TV, they make it all dramatic and stuff, but also they put in that, that it's painful and it's excruciating and da da da
Mhm.
da. So do you think that some of that programming lies dormant within us, and that fear that we have in the moment coming to our births, that it's linked to that?
Yeah, I definitely play with that idea in my head of like, is this pain organic, or could it also be a subconscious resistance to what's happening, right? Because, as you know, giving birth is kind of like a force that you kind of have to
Yeah.
let happen. You have to let it, like you can literally feel your muscles, your uterus, your body naturally pushing, naturally
Yeah.
contracting and moving this child into position. Even if you don't push, even if you just sit there. Like with her, I didn't start pushing whatsoever. I just was having contractions. And I went to go sit on the toilet, and something told me like I feel something, and like I went to go reach down, and like her sack it was right there. Literally, I reached down and I
Mhm.
hadn't pushed one time. My body just was naturally contracting and pushing.
Yes.
Ironically, right? When I realized it, that was the moment that I felt the most pain. That's when like it felt so excruciating and so painful. And I'm like, the baby was coming out the whole time, girl. So why now all of a sudden?
Why now all of a sudden?
Exactly. And I think it's because I panicked. I tensed up. I tried to, I was literally the midwife had to keep telling me, like, let go of your butt cheeks. Stop tensing your butt cheeks. And I'm like, I can't. So I do think that ingrained mentality of it's something to fight against or something to endure, and the screaming, like the imagery of birth is like all the blood, all the screaming, all the like the
It's terrifying. It's like tragedy. It's like tragedy instead of a beautiful experience.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, it is intense.
It's very intense.
It's very intense. Like, I don't know. So this is what I ask you. Did it hurt? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, the actual head coming out, that shit hurt to me.
It hurts. Yeah.
I can't sugarcoat it. It really hurted. So was it just me, being in my head too much, or how was it for you?
No, I feel like there's a definite level of pain there, but I feel like the intensity of pressure surpasses the actual amount of pain.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a level of pain there, because it's like you're going from here to here.
Yeah.
So that's in a short amount of time. So of course that's gonna be it's the level of pain there.
Yeah, and that's what it was for me, because like I said, her head was like there, and like the first 2 times that I pushed, it just didn't come out, right? But the third or fourth push, I experienced the fetal ejaculation. You know what I'm talking about? Like the what is it called? It's like the force where your body just pushes it out, right?
Right.
And I'm not gonna lie, that it was like, because it happened so fast, like her whole head and then her body just right after.
Right.
Like this, it was like, like, wait.
Yeah. It was funny because I don't know if you saw my birth video, but it was like as soon as I got her head out, I was like, oh shit, those are shoulders, and then boom, her whole body.
Literally. Same exact experience. It was like the top of the head, and then it was like head, shoulders, body. And I'm like,
that was
what did you just do to me? Like, they went to go try to get the placenta, and I'm like, bro, don't touch me. Like, I need a moment.
Yeah,
like,
I did both.
The process. It was crazy because the whole time I was like, it's so funny. Like, I have to show you the video. Like, I had to keep pulling myself to the side and having a conversation with myself of like, bro, just keep going. I know them contractions hurt, but just keep going. And once it's done, it's done. And I think that's the thing that you kind of don't get briefed on, is that it's not as physical as you think it is. It's very much mind over matter. It's very much being able to have that relationship with self, to calm yourself down, and to remind yourself that once this is done, once you get this done, you're good, bro. You're good. Like, you don't have to panic. So
It's literally,
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it's literally just a moment. If you think about it, it's just a moment. It's just a brief moment.
It's just a moment, and being able to talk yourself through that moment, or ease yourself, calm yourself through that moment, is what. And that kind of goes back to like the whole hospital setting, is because I definitely think that it's harder to do that in an uncomfortable, facilitated environment.
Mhm.
I didn't want to have an epidural. I wanted to go natural, but it was way harder for me once those contractions hit and I kind of
Mhm.
went in like fight or flight mode, and then I'm surrounded by people I don't know. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to be here. Like it was a lot harder to like push myself through the pain, right? And encourage
Yes.
myself. Um, so going based off of that fear, how did your experience alleviate or reinforce that fear?
How did my experience alleviate or reinforce that fear? Well, I have to like, reference my most recent birth, of course. Uh, being being at home, I had like, made affirmation posters to place around my house and around my room. So being able to just look up at an affirmation or, when I'm needing a distraction from the pain,
Hmm.
like I said, looking up at an affirmation, just bringing myself back to the focus of relaxing or, addressing one of my other children that's present and just
Okay.
having, because to them, yeah, mommy's in labor, but it's today is a regular day until we see a baby.
Right. Yeah.
So just to see them just sitting on the couch watching TV or, them reminding me to drink some water, it just is the simple, regular, your daily, regular things that can distract you from, the intensity of what you may be feeling, that it assists a lot in the process.
Okay. Yeah. So having that sense of normalcy and comfort and
Yes.
family around you help to yeah, like I definitely get that. I definitely get that. And my daughter, look, was ruthless. Muffin was asking for food in the middle of me, like literally, like I said, the baby head is about to come out, and she's like, "I'm hungry, girl." Like, so that is crazy. That is crazy. But I do
No,
love that she was there.
so the beautiful thing about, these experiences of, having children and then having home births,
Hmm.
with my son being present and him already going through an experience of watching one of his sisters be born at home, he's already knowing, kind of the flow of how this is about to go. So he's with Raji showing her like, look, this is what's happening. Let's sit over here, let's relax, let's chill. He's guiding her through the process. So it was just, that was one of my most favorite parts about her birth. Watching him guide and direct Raji through it. That was like so beautiful.
I love that. Like I genuinely love that, and that's one of the things that was very encouraging to me, and I want to see more with other mothers is kind of doing the work to eradicate that negative stigma and fear around childbirth. And I think one of the most efficient ways to do it is by having your children present, so they're
Yes.
growing up with like, this is what we do every couple years, like this
This
is
is what we do every couple of years.
where kids come from. We just do this, like, and especially, I mean, it's beautiful on both sides because having a boy is like, inshallah, when he has children, when his wife or whatever goes into labor,
Mhm.
is nothing. It's natural for him to be supportive and understand how this works, right? And then
Yes.
from the perspective of your daughters, like we were saying earlier, right? Eradicating that internalized fear, right?
Yeah.
So that when they go into delivery, it's not this painful, tense, struggling, fighting against yourself type energy because you've been submerged in it for so long that you understand how it works, right? And I think that that's absolutely beautiful. So, what now? I know you spoke about affirmations. What advice could you give someone else who's never done this before, um, to kind of help manage pain, manage uncomfortability, fear, things of that nature? Like, what are some more like practical things that they can apply in preparation?
For me, well, first of all, preparing your body as much as you can for pregnancy and delivery before, you gotta stay ready to get ready,
Yeah. Okay.
before. But also for me, I find that the times that I've been in labor, my best method has been to keep myself as relaxed as I can and tune into the energetic side of it
Hmm.
versus, well, yes, what's going on with me physically, but the energy of
Oh, we fell down. I think you accidentally muted yourself. It says you muted. Oh, there you go.
okay, there we
Yep.
go. Okay, so finding the best ways to relax myself and, like I said, tune into the energy of what's going on, because like I said, the majority of what you're feeling is pressure. So how do
Mhm.
I work through the pressure of it all? um, Tuning into my breath, focusing on breath work as much as I possibly can to
Mhm.
prepare me, and so that when it comes time to breathe, I know how to just breathe through.
Breathing.
Anything else that can relax me in a situation, like I said, um, creating a soundtrack that I play to myself
Mhm.
in my time of relaxation, mainly before I go to sleep.
Mhm.
Mainly before I go to sleep, so that once I do hear that music playing, my mind and my body automatically tunes into it's time to wind down, it's time to relax, it's time to. So once I'm in labor and I play that, like I fall asleep. I fall asleep. I literally fall asleep during labor. I turn my music on, I lay down into a comfortable position. I'm out. I'm out.
Okay.
You wouldn't even know I was really in labor until you tapped me like, you good?
Yeah, you wake me back up.
So,
Okay, I love that because you actually gave me that tip and I did apply it. Um, because I was actually contracting for 16 hours before I
okay.
actually well, actually, you know what? It wasn't 16 this time. 16 was muffin. This time it was like 12, right? Nope, I lied. 16. 16. I'm sorry, y'all. Look, the
Okay.
birds be getting they be
It's
getting
in.
Muffin was over 24 hours. She was the one that was very extended. So this one was 16 of just contractions leading up to the actual active labor. And the playlist really got me through those contractions. Like you said, I was able to lay down, listen to music, and like the pain was still there, but it was definitely more of a relaxed, kind of in and out of
Yeah.
sleep, you know, you know like it wasn't intense and scary whatsoever. It's crazy because when my midwife got here I was 8 centimeters dilated, and then like
Yeah.
30 minutes later, like I said, she was like hanging out. So and it wasn't crazy up until that moment when I realized that I could feel the sac. It was not super intense or crazy, so I definitely will recommend that playlist method right there. What about like eating stuff? Did you? I know people get kind of crazy, like people start eating pineapples and all kinds of stuff.
Uh, Not really. Like not anything specific to help besides, like, I know that dates help with softening your gosh, what is that part called? You know what the fuck, your cervix.
Yeah, mommy
Dates
brain.
help with softening your cervix, and I really didn't even know that until, it was too late to even matter. I was just eating a lot of dates because I know that they're also high in iron.
Oh, okay.
So by accident, I was doing a lot of that. I was eating a lot of dates.
Okay. So I did dates too, y'all, but it was intentional for me. Like I was look. So my first daughter, she came at like 36 weeks. She came at 39 and some change. So I was getting impatient. Like I'm like, you do not need 40 weeks. Like, come on, like wrap it up, wrap it up. So I
Wrap it
started
up.
looking up like how to, induce labor, how to make labor a little bit easier. And so I started eating dates like crazy. And I can say, like I said, my first time the labor process was over 24 hours. This time it was only 16 and it wasn't nearly as intense. I didn't feel pressure to get an epidural from the contractions. Um, so that's my experience. I would say that not epidural, dates did assist in the birth process. And like I said, I pushed first time, second time, and then like the third time, she just kind of flew out. So maybe it did help with the cervix, right?
Right.
Yeah. So let's see here. Let's see here. Do you think having a natural birth had an effect on your baby and or your relationship with your baby?
So I think that natural birth had an effect on my baby, on my relationship with my baby. Honestly, yes. I feel like having a natural home birth, it's like I feel like the baby came out a lot more calm. Like, they'll expect the baby to come out crying or disoriented or whatever, but she just kind of came out and was like, I'm home. Hi.
So what's going on?
Like, what's up? I finally made it. So I feel like that's definitely a difference. And my relationship with my baby, I don't know. I don't think so. Not with me
No.
because with Zakari, that's my son. I had him in the hospital. With Zakari, I just love all my I love my babies. So I can't really say it changed my relationship with them, but maybe I could say on a spiritual level, it definitely caused a shift in the karma of my bloodline. I feel like
Hmm.
I could say that. I feel like it caused a shift in the karma of my bloodline to have a baby at home and be actually one of the first people of my generation in my family to do so.
Hmm. Okay. And so what do you mean when you say like changing the karma in your bloodline? What does that look like specifically?
So instead of it being instead of us, me and my children carrying on the tradition of fear and having babies in the hospital and epidurals and hospital visits and things like that, it's like we're setting a whole new wavelength, frequency, and timeline for our bloodline. Like we'll move forward with this experience, and this will be tradition versus the other side of it.
And I think it's interesting that you pointed that out with the whole like the generational concept. Because like I was saying earlier, my great grandmother, she had 18 siblings and they were all born at home. And so for my great grandmother up, home birth was the norm, right? And then all of a sudden you get to my mother's generation in hospital birth, right? So I don't know if the timeline looks the same in your family at all, but why do you think that major shift just kind of happened where we seen generation upon generation upon generation do home births and that's just what you do, and then all of a sudden it's like hospital birth? What?
I feel like it's just the programming of the society, of where we come from. You know, Where I'm from is the projects, and they start you off with, okay, you should be giving your babies milk, and then they like, well, we have the powdered milk, and then they're like, you should be bringing your babies in for routine checkups, and you should be coming in for routine checkups for your pregnancies. And now that you're getting routine checkups for your pregnancies, since you're letting us handle your health during your pregnancy, you should allow us to assist you in your delivery. And it just, kind of a
So
domino effect.
the submergence in the medical industry, like I think that definitely could be the major source of it, because now that I think about it, during my great grandmother's time, like they had they didn't go to the doctors. If you talk to a doctor, it's because something was wrong immediately. And two, the doctors came to them, right? They didn't go to a hospital. The doctors would do home visits in the event that something was wrong that you needed, assistance with. So it, like you said, it wasn't this air of like, as soon as you come out, boom, you're going every month to get a vaccine, and then boom, you
Right.
have to go get your shots, and boom, yearly checkups, and you're not submerged in the hospital the same way.
No,
Um,
look, once you've had at least two doctor's appointments during your pregnancy, you are considered under their care. I really believe it's the first one, but once you've had at least two doctor's visits, checkups, you're considered under their care, and it's illegal for you to not go anymore. It's illegal,
hmm.
quote unquote. So they say. So they said to me.
Okay, so I'm committing a crime. Okay, like,
Yeah, so that once you're under their care, like you have to continue to be under their care. So they done made it to a point to where they not even giving you a choice. So if they're coming to multiple mothers with that, and then
mhm,
they're like, well, your blood pressure's high, this and that and the other. They give you something that you need to worry about. You're going to be like, okay, well, I have to go back because my blood pressure is high, or I have to go back because my iron is low, or I have to go back because I'm legally obligated to continue to stay under their care now.
right.
And if
And
I don't, then maybe they'll take my baby.
yeah, and they will. They that's the unfortunate thing about the system, is that I've seen many times where children get taken over very petty things. Even like, I don't know if this is like a state thing, because I do believe the laws are a little bit different depending on your state. So here in North Carolina, it's not illegal to cease care. However, it's illegal to have a midwife, right? To have your midwife actually come and deliver, not for you, right? So I can have a home birth all I want, but my midwife could actually lose their license to practice if they were to come and assist me with a home birth in North Carolina.
Wow.
And so the only way you can legally do midwifery is if you're like an actual nurse. Like, you have to go to medical school and become like a I forgot what it is, like a registered nurse or something like that, and then you can do it. But as far as just like being a midwife or a doula, like, you're not allowed to do that. And then for
Wow.
two, um I don't know how it is in Mexico, but I know here, in order for you to even get your child's birth certificate or social security number, like, you have to come with proof of pregnancy, which means you have to go to a hospital and have them do an ultrasound. And so you can't, essentially, you can choose not to go to the hospital with your pregnancy, but if you want to get a social security number or a birth certificate and you don't have any ultrasound or anything like that, you can't get it. So it's like it kind of traps you. And of
For
course,
here in Mexico, you have to have, at least two witnesses that were at the birth. So
mhm,
that would be, maybe your midwife or whatever, and your neighbor, or, whoever else that's, from here that was present during your
mhm.
labor and delivery process.
Okay, so that's what's up. That's what's up. I just know that here, like, when we went to go figure out what we need to do with the birth certificate, they're like, yeah, we need proof of pregnancy. We need we need proof of, I think they said, your address. something like that. But they made it clear like you gotta prove you was pregnant, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess I understand how it can be, a
Right.
bit problematic if I could just show up with any baby and be like, yeah, this is my baby.
Yeah.
Like I could see that.
When I went to go try to get Raji's social security card and birth certificate, they were like, you just have to go through all of the tests that we would have given originally with you being at the hospital that you didn't receive. So
Okay,
it was like, the hearing test, the blood test, the, iron test, blah, blah, blah.
that's what's up.
That's in Indiana.
Okay. Yeah. So again, y'all, like it depends on what state y'all are in, what like the specific. Of course, I think there's federal laws, but then each state has their own little like spin that they like to put on it. So that's what I will say about home birth is make sure you're informed, right? Make sure you know what's
Yes.
legal in your state. And because you don't want to find yourself caught up in a situation where they're trying to take custody or try to be super in your business to a point that makes you uncomfortable um
Yeah.
because of that. But I
You
did
want to
want
be prepared for anything.
yeah, you do want to be prepared. You do want to be prepared. But I did want to spin back around and touch on the effects that the home birth had on baby in relationship with baby. Because I think I definitely so you didn't have an epidural, right? So
Nope.
I'm not sure if that's what made the difference because I did have an epidural with my first birth and I personally felt that it tremendously not only changed my daughter and like her development as a newborn but also my experience with bonding with the child. So first of all, with the epidural, she came out very like lethargic, right? She struggled with latching really bad, right? And so like they call it the golden hour, like the first hour after you have the baby, where they're supposed to be skin to skin nursing, supposed to help your colostrum come in, right? Um, so when she first came out, like I said, she was very lethargic and she struggled immensely with latching on to the breast. And so my breastfeeding journey was hell from the very beginning. Like it was like because her latch was poor, she was hurting my nipples. And so they were getting cracked and bleeding and they were extremely painful. So it was hard for me to keep her at the breast long enough for her to get adequate nutrients. I ended up supplementing with formula at first, which of course messed my supply up because she's not feeding at full capacity, right? So my
Mhm.
supply isn't going up like it should. Um, Also, I felt that I was still high from the epidural, right? I
Mhm.
was still like loopy. Um, I couldn't really be present in the moment. And also what I learned from research, right, and also working with my midwife was that it affects your oxytocin. Listen, y'all, words.
That sounds right.
It sounds right. Like y'all know what it is, right?
Familiar
That,
word.
that love hormone, right? You
Yeah.
don't get that rush of endorphins and those hormones that help you bond with your baby. You don't get those the same way that you do when you're in the moment and you're aware and you're feeling that pain and then your body is responding to that pain by sending out those hormones to relax you and calm, right? When you're just numb, it's like I'm just laying
You're
here.
numb. So,
Exactly.
so with my, I'm sorry, my opinion on that, right?
Mhm.
You're, when they give you the drugs and they numb you, you're
Mhm.
numb. You're not feeling. So, and the baby is also, numb to an extent as well. So once they come out, it's like you said, the endorphins are not coming in, so it's a like, yeah, this just happened. It's
Yeah,
not, you're not feeling, you're numb, so you're not feeling
very
the
detached.
feeling of like, wow, like you're here, we did it, like
Yeah, the
complete
connection
and
that like
accomplished, like
that close bond. Yeah, it just wasn't. And then on top of it, the environment of the hospital, they just like snatch the baby and they throw
yeah,
him
they
on a
take them right on the
thing
way.
and clean him off and put him in like they wouldn't let me. I couldn't walk and hold her because I had just got the epidural, so I'm in a wheelchair. And they did place her in my arms as we were getting pushed to the new room. But that's the other thing, you're getting snatched up and you're pushed off to the room for you to actually rest at. And then they took her out of
Mhm.
my hands and they put her in like this glass, like it's like a glass bassinet.
Yeah.
Like
Look at how much the energy is shifting, right? You just had a baby, and then you're being moved from the place that happened into the next space.
yeah,
So it's like that's why it'd be like an energetic thing. For everything is energy for me, right?
yeah,
So it's like the sacred act of having a child, bringing a whole new soul, body, and form into the world. You know how powerful that is, and then to just move from that space where that just happened into a whole new, freshly wiped space. Actually,
exactly.
and the energy is not being cleansed. So you're being moved into a room that somebody else was probably just in maybe 3 hours ago,
Yeah,
and all of their energy is still in there. So you just went from the power of bringing in a new form and soul into the world into somebody else's vibe energy that you don't even know. And then you got other people moving in and out 24/7.
yeah. You're laying here numb. Your baby's in a glass incubator. The energy is all weird and awkward. The bed's stiff. They're coming in every 2 seconds. Like, do you need to sign this paper for whatever? Like that in itself was like I enjoyed, right? Having the baby at home. Like you said, I had her on the floor, but I moved to the bed when I was ready, right? And a week later, we finally were like, okay, let's go get her birth certificate because we fucking felt it. It wasn't, I just pushed this baby out, and less than 24 hours later, somebody's in my face, like, here, sign this. Here, what do you want the
Sign
baby?
this. Sign
Here,
this.
here.
Sign
Exactly.
60 pieces of paper right here in 5 minutes. Like,
Exactly. I had people coming in like, hey, do you want a newborn photo shoot? And I'm like, sure. Like, I don't know why I did. And she sat her up and did the newborn photo shoot and had me sign the papers and email. And I'm like, what the heck is even happening right now? So
right. Like, what?
yeah. So I'm not gonna lie to you, like I do feel totally different. Like my bonding experience with my second child is totally different from the bonding experience I had with Muffin. Yeah, like it's a
Yeah.
totally different connection and sensation. So with that being said,
Right.
I 100% recommend the home birth the natural way, right?
Yeah.
I understand the fear, I understand the wanting to be prepared, but I'm for it.
It's raining. I will never do it another way. I will never do it another way. And I will never encourage my daughters to do it any other way unless it's like no choice.
No choice. Exactly.
And here we are over here. We're in a space beyond infinity where there are no limitations. So there's always a choice.
There's always a choice.
There's always a choice.
I do want to touch on super quick. I do want to inform the people that don't be so afraid of your own body and like your body's ability to produce a child. That's what we were designed to do. Like you said earlier, they try to scare you with like, oh, your iron's low, oh, your blood pressure's high, oh, this and that, and like all these little petty ailments. And it's like, bro, our bodies have been delivering children for millennia. Do you think that if we go back thousands and thousands of years ago, do you think these people knew if their iron was at maximum capacity or not? Like,
It's too long.
Trying to tell
Yes,
her.
we're talking. We're doing a video. Yeah, back then they were. I don't believe that they were so worried about all of these different things. Like it was just more natural and going with the flow. And that's why I like, so there's a free birthing when
Mhm.
you just total no outside, nothing, just you, just your own
Mhm.
intuition, the whole pregnancy, the whole process.
Mhm.
And that's what I did with this baby. And I enjoyed that because it's like you get to feel through your experience. You get to feel and you get to just flow through it. And I'm pretty sure that that's how they used to do it. That's how they
Yeah.
used to do it before they started giving you the opportunity and ability to just, see what's going on inside of there. I feel like that brings up a whole new another level of like a whole nother pattern. Because like once you able to see what's going on in there, you want to know what's going on in there. And if you feel like you see a little bubble on the side in the corner, what is that? And why is it there? And what
Yeah.
can we do
It's
about like it brings a whole nother level of stress and worry. And it
and
takes you away
micromanagement.
from your own senses and
Mhm.
ability to just intuitively handle your pregnancy and birth.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of out of sight, out of mind, and mind over matter, right?
Yeah.
With discretion, because I know where people are gonna be like, "Oh, I have cancer." And, okay, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in general, out of sight, out of mind. If you don't see that little bubble, like you said, you don't know it's there, and you're not obsessing over it. And when you're not obsessing over it, you're not building up stress over it. When you're not building up stress over it, it's literally been proven scientifically that stress alone can induce miscarriages, can lead to low birth weight, early birth. Any you can have a small issue with like blood pressure that your body would naturally rectify, but the fact that you're stressing and panicking, your body can't calm itself down. Your body can't work through its own ailments naturally because
Right.
you're intensifying it. You're feeding the flame instead of helping put it out, right?
Mhm.
So that's why, like, I personally recommend, depending on your state, if you have to go get care, okay, I understand. But
Right.
I went, got my first little ultrasound, got my little anatomy scan, so they can say, right, and then that was it. I did that, like, because I'm not gonna
Yeah.
keep coming here every 2 weeks, every month for y'all can fill my head with some problems, right? That
What's so weird? Oh, I went to one doctor's visit with my son to see, what I was having and stuff. And then I went to one doctor's visit with Rashi to see, what I was having and, how she was and stuff like that. And with my doctor's visit with Rashi, they actually told me, that there was something growing on her and don't worry because it'll go away and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, what should I do? And da, 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 da. And then I'm like, first I should breathe and calm myself down
yeah,
because I went into this knowing that they were going to give me some type of information that was going to cause me to be, shaken.
yeah,
So let's calm down and just think about this. I went to that doctor's visit and I never went back. And my baby is, my 2 year old is perfectly fine. She's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with her. Never been anything wrong with her or shown any signs of, health issues in any way. So,
I definitely love that. I love that. Yeah, y'all, like y'all got the spiel, right? Y'all got the little spiel. We explained it all for y'all, and I hope that if anybody out there is sitting down with us today and listening, like I hope that y'all will at least take into consideration, right?
yeah.
Um, Again, I don't want to pressure anybody. If you feel like going to the hospital is the best choice for you, I completely understand. That's how I felt with my first daughter, right? And sometimes you need that experience yourself to open you up to making a different choice, right? And I just want to put this information out here. Like when I reached out to you, like my whole goal is to help alleviate and calm down some of the stigmas and fears surrounding home and natural births. And I think we did that today. Is there anything else you want to add for the people?
I just want to say that everybody's experience is their experience. Every pregnancy and birth process is always going to be different. Even in your own pregnancies and birth processes, as you can see with what we express here today. So don't ever feel bad about whatever your process is or has to be in that, time and experience. You just do what you can do and what you have to do. Even if you set out and you plan to do a home birth and you have everything laid out perfectly or whatever, and you end up having to go to the hospital, don't feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what had to be at that time, and you could try again another time.
Right.
Or if you plan to go to the hospital, but you ended up having it at home. Celebrate and put the power, right, or in the car. Celebrate and put the power behind yourself, because birth is a beautiful thing. And regardless of where you are or how you did it, you created a whole person and they came from your body. And that is something to celebrate and honor. Period.
That's beautiful. And with that, y'all, we're gonna get out here because I'm hungry. I'm hungry as hell. But yeah, thanks for coming through, y'all. And I'm gonna put her socials down in the description so y'all can go follow her and check her out.
Yes. Oh, one last super thing, real quick. I am going to be starting a series because I want to keep up with having my children 2 years apart. So I'm coming up with a series of how to prepare your mind, body, and soul for pregnancy, pregnancy, delivery, and postnatal. This is the series that will be coming out shortly on my channel. So.
I love that. And I'm gonna tune in because I'm already planning. Like you said, I want to get this shit over with before. I don't know. Let me not even say none of that because right? Inshallah.
Yeah, you just want to keep having kids, and that's where we can just leave it.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. That's more than enough. Right. But yeah, check that out, y'all.
All right.